Antonio Brown still has the most receiving touchdowns of anyone in the league since 2014. That's the year Mike Evans made his debut. Both Evans and teammate Rob Gronkowski, as you see, are near the top of this list. So the Bucs have an absolutely lethal passing attack. And for more on this, let us bring in ESPN's Jenna Lane, who's live with us in Tampa, and what she tells us is a beautiful fall day, so we are all envious here. Meanwhile, Jenna, we know all about the off-the-field concerns when it comes to Antonio Brown, but what gives the Buccaneers confidence that none of that is going to be a problem?
Greeny, several things stood out from my conversations with folks inside the Buccaneers organization. The first was that they believe that Bruce Arians has a strong enough personality to handle Brown. They have some familiarity already because they were together with the Steelers. Arians not going to let him push him around. He's not going to hesitate to put him in his place. They also really believe in their locker room leadership to hold one another accountable. And then I spoke to Bucs offensive coordinator Byron Leftwich. They were teammates with the Steelers. Leftwich said, "We have always had an honest relationship, so they don't feel like they have to tiptoe around things. They can have frank discussions." And then in talking to Harold Godwin, who is their run game coordinator, and he was with them for 2 seasons with the Steelers, he said that Brown knows that this is his last shot and he's likely not going to get another opportunity.
The name you didn't mention there specifically, although you did mention leadership, is Tom Brady. And Brown is living in Brady's house. And just to, how would you put into to words the role that Brady played in making this happen and will play in making it work?
All offseason, I kept hearing that Brady was pushing for the Bucs to sign Brown, but ultimately Bruce Arians and Jason Light and ownership had to sign off on this. And I can tell you, it was not a consensus inside this building as to signing him, but they're now, of course, all in with him because he's a member of the team. And Brady will tell you, "I'm just trying to be a good teammate here." He'll also tell you that he recognizes that not everyone grew up the same way that he did, with 2 parents and with strong mentors coming into the league. So he recognizes that he has the ability to help some other guys out who maybe didn't have that. But as far as Brown's role goes, Bruce Arians said he could play anywhere from 10 snaps to 35. You go back and watch his debut with the Patriots, it was about 24 snaps. He was heavily targeted in that game. And I gotta tell you, when watching that game yesterday, if you would have just showed me the routes that he ran, I would have said that looks like a Bucs game plan for Chris Godwin. That's another thing. A lot of his role will be predicated on Godwin's availability this week. He's about a 50-50 shot to play.
There is a perception amongst a lot of people that this was just Tom Brady's decision. Brady said, "I want Antonio Brown here." Is that an accurate perception of the situation?
Yes, it's accurate to say that Tom Brady drove the decision. We know how excited he was to get a chance to play with Antonio Brown last year in New England, how he wished that that had been a longer period of time, and how he stayed in touch with Antonio Brown and left him voicemail messages saying things like, "Wherever I go, you're coming with me." We know that the head coach of the Buccaneers, Bruce Arians, said during the offseason that this signing would not happen, and said some negative things about Antonio Brown based on their history together in Pittsburgh. Yet here he is. I think it's pretty easy to put 2 and 2 together and say this is a move driven by Tom Brady.
Okay, and he's living in Brady's house, which is a big piece of this because, Domonique, just from a teammate standpoint, let's take the very real and significant off-the-field issues. There's still an open investigation on the part of the NFL. Let's just deal with the football side of this. He had problems in his locker room in Pittsburgh. He worked his way out of Oakland before he even got there. How confident are you, based upon that relationship with Brady, that that piece of this will go well?
Yeah, I'm confident that that part will go well, in part because what really makes Antonio Brown happy is getting the ball. And it seems that Tom Brady is very invested in making sure that this decision looks like the right one. If we know that he was the one that was pushing and championing, bringing in AB, and we know that AB is living in his house and he's been texting AB all offseason, I promise you that Tom Brady is going to make sure that AB is heavily involved in this game plan and he makes sure that he gets the ball. It's going to be a short season, just a few months for AB, and he's going to get enough targets to keep him happy, and hopefully he can keep his head on straight off the field.
All right, so I'm just going to try and figure out how that's going to work. So, Damien Woody, I'm just thinking you've got AB is going to come in, and Tom Brady is going to make sure that he gets fed the football plenty. And then you've got Mike Evans, and then you've got Chris Godwin, and then you've got Gronk, and they still have Leonard Fournette, and they have Rojo, and they have all of these guys. It sounds like, let me put it this way, it's a nice problem to have, but it may still be a problem. You have a lot of mouths to feed. How does that work, D. Wood?
Yeah, there's only one football to go around, but I think the most important thing everyone understands is winning a championship. Listen, those guys down there have been playing with, Jameis Winston and with all the turnovers, and now you got a quarterback in here with a championship pedigree. And you only get one opportunity at these things, and the way everything is lined up for them, I know they feel like in that locker room they have an opportunity to do something special with a special quarterback. So yes, there's a lot of guys, and they're going to want their touches. But at the end of the day, the championship is what matters most with people in the locker room.
Sure. So championship being the operative word. David Pollack, if we look at the best teams in the NFC right now, you've got Seattle sitting there with one loss. You've got New Orleans, who the Buccaneers will play on Sunday night, who've already banked a win against Tampa in that division. You've got Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers, who we've talked about. In your opinion, are the Buccaneers the likeliest team to win the NFC Championship with this acquisition?
They are. And I think it's important when you start talking about all these mouths to feed. Like, Fournette chose the Tampa Bay Buccaneers after the fact. He knew that. Rob Gronkowski chose the Buccaneers knowing about Cameron Braid and O.J. Howard. Like, Antonio Brown chose the Buccaneers knowing about Evans and Godwin and all the weapons. So I think that's an important point to bring up. Like, they kind of know what they're getting into when it comes to Bruce Arians, too, because he's a no-nonsense guy. But the Buccaneers, it's not just the offense, man. I watch their defense, and they daggum swarm. I mean, they swarm the football. They play exceptionally hard. The line keeps the guys, does a great job of keeping those linebackers free, David, who can fly, White, who can fly. They're good in the secondary. So, yeah, the Tampa Bay Bucs, to me, are the best team. Most complete team.
Yeah, that's 5 daggums on the show, by the way, for those of you who are keeping track at home, which is a good number. It is a record, actually. 1 was the record on this program, and you've now quintupled the record. Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.